Yeah, documentary is a fascinating thing. And I spoke to some really successful documentary filmmakers that I know in LA, and I was like, I'm not sure where it's going because when you start, you just fall in love with a person or a character. And they said to me, let it unfold. Let the story unfold and you will find your story. And I was so glad that I did because when I
Good morning, Evelyn. It's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
And a fellow South African.
Yeah.
That's so great. And tell me, where are you based?
I'm living in Vienna, Austria now. Before that, I lived in Los Angeles for 35 years, and now I'm living in Vienna for 5.
What a great transition from Los Angeles to Vienna.
It was a difficult transition. We came, I think, at the end of 2018, and I didn't love it. I was shocked by the culture shock, the weather, found the people a bit unfriendly. And so I took all this energy, being a writer and an actor, and I started to write a book called Hot Mess about it. And being Jewish, I felt haunted by the ghosts of the past. And I was shocked how haunted I actually felt, how heavy Vienna felt to me as a city. And so then I started to write that and then turned it into a one-person play with my friend Eva Oscar Dorty, who you interviewed, to direct it. And then COVID happened and we had to lock down. So then I thought, all right, I'm going to shoot it as a pilot. So I changed the script into a pilot and made the first episode just at the tail end of COVID, which was amazing. All the streets were empty and it had this great feeling of isolation and loneliness. So, yeah. And so I've come out the other side. It's been 5 years, and I actually think Vienna is amazing now.
Oh, really?
But it's a huge perspective shift in like really dealing with, intergenerational trauma. I felt like I didn't know I had that till I lived here.
That's so interesting, and that the city, that you got that energy from the city, because it depends also on the history that that you are involved in.
Yeah, I mean, I read a book by Wayne Dyer, and he came to Vienna in, I think, 1961 to Germany, and he said he'd never felt such mass conscious shame in a place when he had traveled. And that was so affirming because I couldn't, LA is such a bubbly, light, a little bit superficial city, but everyone's like, what's happening? Let's all hang out. Hey, darling. Hey, beautiful. And so I came from that where everybody's your friend to people, being very proper. No, you can't sit. I was lectured on which coffee to drink when I ordered a mocha and by the waiter, what is the coffee culture and to order coffee correctly. I was lectured in Billa, that I must speak English. I was lectured on the subway when I asked for directions and got lost. And the lady was like, you are on your phone. You shouldn't be on your phone. You should know. And so I was in such shock that I had to do something with this culture shock. And really, it's perfect for comedy.
Yeah. Now that you're saying that, I was once, I stood up for a lady in the tram. And she was offended because I thought she was older than me. And I thought it was just
a nice question, but that's what I mean. These moments of culture shock, and other cultures would be like, "Oh, how nice!" And here, it took a while, and I think COVID did something to people where I don't know if I changed or COVID made people sweeter and friendlier. I can't tell.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think maybe it's I cannot answer that for you, but I think a lot of things have changed, and I think a lot of people's outlook. But I think the grumpy ones stayed grumpy. I think they
Grumpy ones are fantastic. I was with
I
my
think-
son and my dog was pooping, and a lady came and she stood by us to make sure we were going to pick up his dog poop. And my son said, "You want to do it? You want to help us?" You know, it's like it never happened in LA. So like these moments,
Yeah.
I had to do something with it.
Moved to Austria about 6 months ago from LA, where Hitler stormed in his booties and tiny moustache.
Hi, honey.
How many espressos have you had?
I don't know. 6?
Oh, good, honey, because I thought maybe you had too many. To get out of America, away from that twittering president, school shootings, and the pressure to do Botox. Actually, maybe I'm still gonna do Botox. And there are no Jews here, like Leonard Cohen. Well, you're just so tired all the time.
I am tired all the time.
So horny.
Aren't you hot and hangry all the time?
No. I got the best vibrator. I'll send you the link.
Hi, sweetie.
Oh, I'm meditating. Come on, honey, you gotta go to school.
You suck. Austria sucks.
I feel like I'm losing my mind.
No one said moving would be easy, honey.
It sucks ass.
Austria has changed. There are no Nazis anymore.
Really?
I can tell you are a Jew.
Thank you, Jesus. Think I'm going through menopause. So hot all the time.
I'm hot.
In LA, when my doctor would look at my vagina, she would smile like she was on vacation.
You feel tired, depressed? All the youth sucked right out of you?
I really wish I could shoot myself.
It's not funny.
I'm not trying to be funny.
I think it's also this, the rules, you know, and I know a country has to have rules and people have to abide by the rules, but there's sometimes where there's a little bit of common sense needed. You know, some rules can be bent a little bit and because of the common sense behind it. And I think also growing up in South Africa, I realized that that gives you a little bit of freedom to be more daring, you know, whereas I wonder sometimes if there's very much strict and all these wonderful rules that they sort of restrict you in a way.
Yeah, that's what I always thought about growing up in South Africa. I thought there was such oppression as well, which made such incredible art. The need for a voice, the need for such incredible painters and writers. So
yeah,
that squeezing does do something to a culture. And here, I think, you know, talking to my husband who's from here, there's this following of rules that is so highly revered, where in South Africa, it's like, should we follow the rules? Why should we? You know, we'd always get in discussions, but who said? And I love that discussion where you just follow.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But tell me about your time in South Africa. Did you grow up in Johannesburg?
I grew up in in Johannesburg till I was 16, and I started making plays up probably when I was 8 years old in the garden for the neighbors. And I did theater in South Africa, interracial theater downtown in Cape Town, and that was amazing. I did feel like it was, you know, very creative and a need to have a voice, you know, not taking our voice for granted and how dangerous it could be for some to have a voice. So that's what got me into writing. Like, how can you express all this madness that I witnessed? You know, it was heartbreaking.
And then in the arts, do you come from a family where you were encouraged to do some form of art?
My mother would have rather liked me to become a secretary. She said, don't take
Really?
it. But I took acting classes. I did theater. I was in plays and then went to theater school in Los Angeles and continued. And yeah, my sister's a painter. I went to Cape
Really?
Town.
Mm.
It's, so.
So, what took you then to Los Angeles apart from, so you studied, you went to a drama school there?
Mhm. Yeah, we immigrated from South Africa. There was a lot of fear, and we had the opportunity to move to Los Angeles. And so I finished high school there and then went to theater school.
Okay, so the opportunity was there then.
Yeah.
Mm. And then at the theater school, I mean, you said you loved writing and you also now producing films. But what part do you prefer? What part do you enjoy most, the acting or the writing or the producing?
All of it. I don't love producing. I feel like if I didn't have to produce, I wouldn't do that. I write, direct, and act. I think as an actor, I got frustrated that I was waiting for permission to be creative. And I had so much creative energy and just waiting for auditions or doing theater. And I did a lot of theater, which was amazing. And then I thought, I started writing my own plays. Took them around LA with 8 women, and that wasn't enough for me. So then I did the 2-year writers boot camp program in LA and started writing screenplays. And then I became friends with an 85-year-old woman who fled Vienna. And she was so inspiring because at 85, she was falling madly in love. And I was going through another breakup. So I thought, oh my God, how is this woman having the time of her life at 85? So I started to film her falling in love. And I filmed her from 85 to 100 and made a documentary film about
Wow.
her. But the stand-up doll documenting her, like you say, these moments. And her daughter died, her son died, her lover died, and she is 106 now. And she plays the piano every day, and it's
Amazing.
art that keeps her going. It's this desire to sing and play piano that she thinks keeps her young.
I saw a part of that documentary. Is it the stand-up doll?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and what? First of all, my aunt is also called Risa. The name of the lady is Risa.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I found it so interesting that she said that she loves to look at beauty, and it's and that thing where she said people, she looks at a beautiful face, but when the person starts talking or something like that, then it was like
Yeah,
a
shocked.
and yeah, and her honesty and directness, I just love that you could get that,
Yeah, there's a part where if you keep watching, I don't know if you saw, where she talks about sex and hearing a
yeah.
100-year-old woman talk about sex and the desire to be touched and the desire for intimacy. I was so impressed that she could share that, which a lot of people feel like. What is really struck is as you get older, you become more and more invisible. And I didn't want her to feel invisible.
Absolutely, yeah. And now that you're saying that, it's and also I think the older you get, the more or the less you reveal, because you sort of get in yourself. Your thoughts stay your thoughts, and not necessarily that you speak about it, and not necessarily that you are in situations where you can speak about that. So it's wonderful that you could capture that on film, because I think we're all going to get much older, and these things, we wonder about these things because nobody talks about that.
Yeah, there's such a taboo. And I was really, when I asked her this question near the end, I said, if you had a pill, Risa, that you could take that would make you younger, would you take it? And she said, absolutely, because you feel invisible as you get older.
Really?
Yeah. And that you still feel young. I mean, I still feel, my younger self, and I'm surprised, So no matter what age we are, we have all these parts in us.
I was born in Vienna. When I look back on my life, I don't know how I did it.
We are going to see my friend Risa, who I've been filming. She was about 85.
Hello!
She is 99.
Who cares about age?
Hoping she'll make 100. You might think I was crazy, spending almost 15 years documenting Risa.
I love teaching children. I had a lot to give them.
Somehow, she had the secret to life.
The secret to long life is my attitude. Anything I cannot change, I turn it around and count my blessing.
Risa lived through the Nazi invasion.
I saw how people changed overnight. Dragged my father out of the house into concentration camp.
Lost her husband.
He passed away.
Fell madly in love again at 85.
The only thing we ever argued about was who would die first.
Who would die first?
And he said, I want to die first. I don't want to be without you.
Lost everyone again she had ever loved.
My son could have lived if it hadn't been for the doctor. Mistakes.
No matter how many times life knocked her down.
I'm really the only one who smiles. All the others are sourpusses.
She kept getting up. To me, she was a stand-up doll.
Yes, I'm forgiven because I don't want to live with hatred.
There's almost a defiance in her getting up,
Whoa!
which I love. She gets up with humor.
Humor is a tranquilizer without side effects.
She gets up with song.
Enjoy yourselves while you're still in the pink. Because I want to last forever too.
That's Risa.
This documentary, how did you, so you had this idea of making the documentary with her, but of course you have to have a film team and everything. How did you film this?
Well, I just said I wasn't going to let money get in my way of filming her. So I filmed with my iPhone, which is amazing what you can do. And then I also got a film team for the interviews, bigger days, the parts I really felt were important. I went back and re-filmed with the crew a few times, but a lot was made with my iPhone. So it's not as beautiful as I would like to film it, but I didn't want to let that stop me. And also, I think that was a great benefit because some of the moments she totally forgot that she was being filmed. And she told me so many intimate stories, when she's sick there and she's in the chair and she's feeling lonely and she asks for a hug. I think if there was a whole crew and camera there, that would have never happened.
I think that is very special that you did that because it's like you say, the moment, iPhone is not that intrusive. And a camera team and lights and all of that, it takes away that intimacy that you could share with her.
Mm-hmm. Later, I was like, I wish I filmed it better and I would have done this and this. But the truth is, the moment in the car where she forgot the cameras on and I'm asking her about sex and about being with someone, she totally opened up. And then later, she's like, when did I say that? I don't remember. The camera was on. Yeah.
And she
proved.
Oh, she approved it. Yeah, yeah.
Before I put it out there, said, "Will you watch it? Tell me if everything's okay." And there was one moment that I took out that she didn't like.
Oh, is it? Okay. But I think this is great, and I love that you do it so naturally, and so it's like you really get the human side. It doesn't look staged at all.
Yeah.
But tell me, and so you get these ideas, and then you start working on a script, or how does it work?
Yeah, documentary is a fascinating thing. And I spoke to some really successful documentary filmmakers that I know in LA. And I was like, I'm not sure where it's going, because when you start, you just fall in love with a person or a character. And they said to me, let it unfold. Let the story unfold and you will find your story. And I was so glad that I did, because when I started, it was a love story. Like, how is this woman at 85 having the love affair of her life? And it really was a documentary on aging and on a great attitude. As everybody died around her, what kept her going? And that revealed it over the 10-year period, where if I had made it, I'm going to make this in 3 months. And, I just stuck with watching her life unfold. With my screenplay, I wrote about growing up in South Africa. I have a feature film called Cricket Song that has been optioned that I'm dying to make. That was just, I wrote a different script of a young girl looking for her nanny who's dying of AIDS in Africa. And I took a writing class with Gordy Hoffman, who's wonderful. And he said, that story of the flashback of her as a young girl is my favorite part. Go to that story. So I wrote a screenplay about what it was like to grow up during apartheid South Africa and my relationship with my Black nanny. And just felt like also that story unfolded as I wrote it. The characters, like I outlined it, but of course then as you write, things happen, and then you have to go back and adjust your outline.
So you like to write from this experiences that you had, or things that you
from a personal place, and then change it, and then the emotional personal thing. What is it like, this conflict to love somebody in a society that's saying you two can't be together, you're not allowed to love one another, and jumping off that and then letting the story evolve, but using my own personal emotional struggle.
But you must have, because I was born in 1964, and that was also in the time of apartheid. But I sometimes look back and I cannot remember many things. I remember some things, but and I'm not also as a person not very political, interested in politics and so on. So there are many things that I also now think back on and then realize that happened, but I wasn't aware of it at the time when I was a child, because that was not part of my sort of environment, or sort of my everyday life.
Yeah. I think that's white privilege, that we didn't have to look, we didn't have to. And for me, I had such a strong bond with my nanny and with her children who came, and that they had to hide away in their servants' quarters. And when my parents went away on the weekends, I would bring everybody in the house and we would play. And it just felt so wrong and such a juxtaposition, and I could not understand it. So it was painful to me. And there was a situation which in my script where our nanny came to the door covered in blood because she got beaten. And so there were pivotal moments where I could not wrap my head around how this can exist. And I don't know I think some people just don't look, and that's the conflict right now, also with Israel and Palestine. Where do we look away and where do we look? And I think as artists, we need to look. We need to reflect back what we see, and that's how we have our voice. And that's why I love art, because art has the power to transform how we see things.
I totally agree. And sometimes, we also, I speak to a lot of comedians, and you actually realize how comedians also use their art to highlight things that we sometimes don't want to face, and they bring these subjects up and we laugh about it. But in this laugh, we suddenly realize, hey, wait a minute,
That's
So
the most
art has a, yeah. Art
Through
has-
comedy, I think if you do it through comedy, it's genius.
Yeah, no, definitely. So now you're in Vienna, and this has also brought a new vision for you, or a new experience for you. And this film that you said that you talked about, that you made here, when is this going to be released, or has it been released already?
It's called Hot Mess, and it's a pilot. Well, the first one I made, I wanted it to be a short in itself in case I wouldn't get the funding to make a whole pilot. And so it already went out. It was in the Big Apple Film Festival, Downtown Los Angeles Film Festival, and it's played about 8 good festivals. And so now I've gone back to rewrite the whole thing. And so working on that and seeing if I can get funding for the whole thing.
Amazing. So is it in episodes, or it's going to be a film?
Episodes, yeah.
Episodes,
Each
okay.
30-minute comedy episodes, dark comedy.
Oh, okay. Amazing work that you're doing. And so from the one with Risa to this one, it's really very different.
Yeah. Although I think when I worked with a writing consultant, he said something interesting to me. He said, you write about the same thing. Most writers do. And I was shocked to see that Martin Scorsese said he's trying to figure out the same thing. And I was like, what is he figuring out? Like, how do we make sense of the violence in the world? I think every film is dealing with violence. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I have this ideal idea of the world that I want it to be. This beautiful world where I hope we can all just love. And every script or every project is about how can we find that unconditional love and the places we get stuck in, not to see it. And my own stuckness, every script is about my own stuckness and my inability to live from that place.
I so get you there, because I sometimes feel I live on a cloud, and I wish everybody would come and live there with me.
Yeah, I think we're heading there. I think the more we all hold that vibration, I think it's possible.
Yeah, no, that's true. So, Evelyne, what are the wishes for you for the future? What do you still want to do in the film industry and in your acting and writing?
As an actress, I'd love to just get cast in something that I don't have to produce, write, direct. I love doing that, and I've done a few wonderful roles too. And I want to make Cricket Song and finish Hot Mess. I'd love to make all the episodes.
And do you work on all these? Do you work on all these projects, or can you work on projects alongside each other, or do you focus on one thing and try and finish that?
I try focus on one thing. So right now I'm really trying to focus on finishing all the episodes for Hot Mess, but at the same time I'm auditioning, and I've written a one-person play, which I'm contemplating putting on.
Okay. Is it easier in Vienna than in Los Angeles? Because I can assume there's a lot of competition in Los Angeles.
Exactly. I've had the lucky opportunity to audition for really wonderful projects in Europe because I'm one of maybe 500 American actors, where in LA, when I would get auditions, there'd just be so much competition. So I think, yes.
And for actors, it's this many no's before you get the yes. And how do you overcome that, or how do you keep motivated?
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. If there's a role I would really want, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's defeated. And that's why I have writing. Thank God. I feel for people who don't have another outlet. And then I also know there's the right role is there for me, the right timing, and just have to surrender. It's like a spiritual journey in itself of just learning to let go, just keep letting go.
Well, I love these. I love that you take things into your own hands, that you say you create them. Because I spoke to Dolly Henry, and she's a dancer, and she's a Black dancer, and she said that at the time she grew up in the 60s, and at the time in the UK, there were no roles for her, there were no dancing parts for her, and she created her own company. And she received an MBE now for her work in dance. And you think this came from somebody who had so many no's that she just decided, I'm doing my own thing. And I think that is so wonderful if people have that sort of, I would call it very brave to just get up and say, well, I'm creating then for myself.
Yeah, you have to, because it's like that quote, necessity is the mother of invention. And when there is not anything and you need to create, you just have to find a way. So I've always done that, and I'm also stubborn, but it is hard sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I don't have the energy, and then, I'll feel defeated, and then 2 weeks will pass. I'm like, okay, I have to do something,
We need a break sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to take that moment and think, okay, so now I can feel a little bit demotivated.
Yeah, yeah.
But Evelyne, it was so great to talk to you. It's so lovely to know there's another South African here in Vienna. And it's so lovely to see your work. And I'm going to finish watching the documentary. I just love Risa. I love her energy as well. And you really captured so much of her. And yeah, I wish that I can also grow old like that.
Yeah, watch till the end too, because there's this whole thing, will she even make it to her 100th birthday, and that moment, that emotional moment where she is honored by the city of Los Angeles as one of the centenarians is amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, I'll definitely do that. But
well, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure.
Dear friends, it is with great love and sadness that we are writing to tell you that little baby Charlie passed away in our arms on Sunday afternoon. We decided as a family to remove him from life support and let him go peacefully back to the spirit world.
I lost my baby about 9 months ago.
You guys will try for another baby?
I don't know, though. We never really have sex. I had a lot of fear and I had a lot of negative thoughts.
Claire, I am trying to reach Anna. Something terrible has happened. I can't get in touch with her. She disappeared.
I just want to tell him. Please, no. Jacob, please, just for a minute!
It's so weird. I've got this weird feeling like everything's moving so fast and I'm not in my body. I feel like something's really wrong with me.
Jesus, Claire.
see all those. Something's gotta change.
I didn't feel this deep connection to him when he was born. I should have realized he was this incredible gift that I'd been given, and I didn't.
We all come to this life to heal. Some souls, they only come for a short time. Your lessons together in this life, they're done.
Mom? Mom, it's me. He was supposed to be there.